All right, we're going to get ready for our next speaker. Our next speaker, Julie Su, became the Acting Secretary of Labor on March 11th, 2023. She was previously confirmed by the Senate to serve as the Deputy Secretary of Labor on July 13th, 2021. As a Deputy Secretary, she served as the de facto Chief Operating Officer for the department, overseeing its workforce, managing its budget, and executing the priorities of the Secretary of Labor. Prior to joining the U.S. Department of Labor, Deputy Secretary Su served as the Secretary for the California Labor and Workforce Development Agency. The LWDA enforces workplace laws, combats wage theft, ensures health and safety on the job, connects Californians to quality jobs and career pathways, and administers unemployment insurance, workers' compensation, and paid family leave. Su is a nationally recognized expert on workers' rights and civil rights who has dedicated her distinguished legal career to advancing justice on behalf of poor and disenfranchised communities, and is a past recipient of the MacArthur Foundation Genius Grant. As California Labor Commissioner from 2011 through 2018, Su enforced the state's labor laws to ensure a fair and just workplace for both employees and employers. A report on her tenure released in May 2013 found that her leadership resulted in a renaissance of enforcement activity and record-setting results. In 2014, she launched the first Wage Theft is a Crime multimedia, multilingual, statewide campaign to reach out to low-wage workers and their employers, to help them understand their rights and feel safe speaking up about labor law abuses. Prior to her appointment as California Labor Commission, Deputy Secretary Su was the litigation director at Asian Americans Advancing Justice, Los Angeles, the nation's largest nonprofit civil rights organization devoted to issues affecting the Asian American community. Su is known for pioneering a multi-strategy approach that combines successful impact litigation with multiracial organizing, community education, policy reform, coalition building, and media work. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Acting Secretary of the United States Department of Labor, Julie Su.
Wow. Thank you all so much. Darren, it's so good to see you. Is Sam Williamson in the house? I just want to shout out Sam also. Sam, it's nice to see you. As I already said, all the cool kids are in the house today. So thank you all so much for having me. This is like the popular kids club. And you all know that unions are more popular now than they have been in basically my entire lifetime, right? You all are aware of that. So that's right. And I am so glad to be back in Pennsylvania. You've all welcomed me here so many times. Soon after President Biden nominated me to be your acting labor secretary, I had a meeting with the Allegheny Fayette Central Labor Council with Darren and at the United Steelworkers office. And I want to thank President McCall, who has welcomed me so many times and made me feel at home every time I come to the state. So thank you so, so much for that. To President Angela Ferrito, it is so amazing to watch you. We got to march together for Labor Day on the Labor Day parade, which was such a great honor for me. And I can't think of a better person to lead in this moment as Pennsylvania AFL-CIO builds up so much momentum. Yeah. And I'm just amazed to be here with obviously President Ferrito and the lineup of strong women that you have speaking today. Later today, my friends AFT President Randy Weingarten and AFL-CIO President Liz Schuler will both be speaking. And I just have to say that we are in this new era of worker power in this country in no small part due to the collective leadership of all of you. So I know you're all thinking about this, but it is really an important time, not just to feel the power of the labor movement, but to really exercise that power to safeguard the gains that workers have made and to keep driving us forward. So let's just take a moment to remember where we were. In January 2021, right before President Biden came to office, COVID was raging. It had taken nearly 500,000 U.S. lives, and there was no strategy to get it under control. Unemployment was high, and supply chains was something that we were all talking about, in part because decades of underinvestment in U.S. industries made us dependent on foreign-made products for everything from PPE to semiconductor chips. You all know what this looks like, because in Pennsylvania, it's not just theoretical, you've lived it. And we had all heard the same story for too long. We had heard that when workers organize and unionize, that it's bad for our economy. We were told that the massive gap between CEO pay and frontline worker pay, where a worker has to work for years to make what the CEO makes in just a week, was just the natural way of things. We heard that people who work for poverty wages in dangerous conditions, but still could barely get by, well, they just had to keep working harder. No, not on our watch. In President Biden's America, we are rewriting that narrative. We know that worker power is not bad for our economy. It isn't a threat to our democracy. It is crucial to the health of both. And I know you see the momentum because you are the ones who are building it. From healthcare to hospitality to Hollywood, from teachers to delivery drivers, auto workers to flight attendants, from our universities to our hospitals to our call centers, workers are demanding their fair share, are saying we deserve to be valued, are organizing like never before, and are winning at the bargaining table like never before. And we have a president who's not just watching this happen, but is supporting it and using every lever that he has and that we have to help make it happen. So I was in the room last year for many of the contract negotiations that took place. And I heard corporations say, the wage increase you want is too far above the market wage. Above market wage. My response to that is, instead of telling workers that their demands are too high, maybe it's time we question why the market wage is so low. Yeah. Why should we accept as normal that a working person has to work full-time, year-round, sometimes multiple jobs, and still can't afford to live near where they work? Well, you, unions, are working to reset and lift up that market wage. That's right. We've seen it in many industries. We've certainly seen it with the auto workers. Last year, through their strength and solidarity, including at the GM plant in Langhorne, the United Auto Workers not only reached a historic contract with 25% wage increases and stronger benefits and retirement, but they showed what it's like when workers have an actual seat at the table and can help to define the future of their industry. Almost immediately, after the UAW and the Big Three reached their tentative agreement, non-union employers in the auto industry began giving unprecedented wage increases to their workers too. That's what my friend, President Shawn Fain, calls the UAW bump. And you know, he's absolutely right about that. And when unions reset and lift up the market wage, it also closes gender and wage gaps, proving once again that when we strive for worker justice, we can also advance racial and gender justice. And the momentum just keeps on rolling. The UAW bump hasn't just resulted in record wage increases, it has powered newly successful unionization in parts of the country where that just didn't seem possible even a year ago. So it's been a big year for building worker power in this country, and it didn't happen by accident. It happened because you organized, it happened because you bargained, it happened because you are choosing solidarity. And it's also happening because President Biden promised to be the most pro-worker, pro-union president this country has ever seen. And that is a promise that we are keeping every day. So let me talk a little bit about what that looks like. I talked about where we were in this country just before President Biden came into office. Well, since he's been in office, there have been 15.4 million jobs created in this country. That's more than any other president in the same time period. And at the same time, unemployment remains at record lows for the longest period since the 1960s. I also talked about the failure to protect U.S. jobs and U.S. industries in the past. Not anymore. Just yesterday, the president announced tariffs to protect American steel, American minerals, electric vehicles, and union jobs. And as we already talked about, USW International Vice President Roxanne Brown introduced the president in the Rose Garden and did a lovely, lovely job of that. And President Biden's Investing in America agenda is putting more into our nation's infrastructure, into our roads and bridges, into replacing lead pipes, into ensuring high-speed, reliable internet in every community, and in protecting our climate so that every child breathes clean air. And all of these investments are creating union jobs. Because I know, and you know, that if you want it done right, you want a union worker.
Yes.
How else was the I-95 in Philly reopened in just 12 days last June? That was you, and I was proud to be in Philly with the vice president to acknowledge the carpenters, laborers, cement finishers, teamsters, and operating engineers, and see not just the work that you did, but the pride in doing it. Because that's something that you all know well about a job. A job is about more than a paycheck. It is about that pride, that ability to contribute, that sense that you are building up your own community. What else does it mean to have the most pro-worker, pro-union president this country has ever seen? It means $16.7 billion of investments in Pennsylvania. I want to say that again. $16.7 billion from President Biden's Investing in America agenda in this state. That includes $20 million to modernize the airport, the Pittsburgh International Airport, with union workers. Here's what else it looks like. It means that we made the first update to the Davis-Bacon rules and prevailing wages in 40 years, which gives over 1 million construction workers a raise. And the more projects that break ground, the more workers who are going to get that raise. And guess where I came to announce that new rule? Yep, Pennsylvania. Here's what else it looks like. It means protecting mine workers from silica dust, because no job should be a death sentence. And we can and must reverse the devastating effects of silicosis, black lung, and cancer that too many of this country's miners have had to endure. And guess where I came to announce that final rule? Uniontown, Pennsylvania. At the United Mine Workers Local 2. And just a couple of weeks ago, I also announced a final overtime rule to restore the promise of a 40-hour work week to American workers, and to give those who work longer than 40 hours the raise that they deserve. Now, here's what a pro-worker, pro-union Department of Labor looks like for firefighters who do get injured on the job. We set up a special claims unit so that firefighters and other emergency responders can get their workers' compensation benefits faster. Over the past 2 years, that unit has helped more than 4,000 firefighters get the treatment and the benefits that they're entitled to, including right here in Pennsylvania. A firefighter recently stopped me at a conference and said that the change has been like night and day from what he and his fellow firefighters used to deal with. Before, just around 30% of claims were approved, and now over 90% of benefits claims are being approved. Here's what else it looks like. Because we don't just want private workers to have a union, a pro-union president wants a federal government workforce that has a real voice on the job. And in this administration, the number of federal government employees in a union has increased by nearly 20%. Here's what else it looks like. Expanding opportunity for all communities, including young people like Daquan Moss. So Daquan was a kid who didn't know what he wanted to do in life until he got to a Job Corps center, one of the Department of Labor's Job Corps centers, right here in Pennsylvania. And because of our partnership with unions, Daquan was hired by the Painters Union, and he's going to be making $21 an hour to start, and then he will get a pay raise to nearly $37 an hour after just 3 years. So today, Daquan is doing what he loves, and he has what he needs, not just to get by, but to get ahead. And he's going to make his community better while he does that. And I know that all of this means something to all of you, because the values of the Biden-Harris administration are the same values that have driven the labor movement. In President Biden's America, we believe in fairness, so all workers can find real opportunity and security. We believe in a just day's pay for a hard day's work, so all workers make a decent living. We believe every worker should come home healthy and safe at the end of the workday. We believe every worker should get the benefits and care that they deserve. Every worker should be able to retire with dignity. That immigrant workers make this country strong, and there's no place for racism or sexism in the workplace or in our communities. We also say to employers who have decided that it's cheaper to break the law, that the chances of getting caught are slim, and the consequences, even if you do get caught, we say to them, not on our watch. And that's why we are enforcing the labor laws of this country to end illegal child labor, to fight wage theft, to unleash the full power of the Department of Labor to protect working people. So last year, we issued the highest number of penalties, over $100,000 in OSHA history. Because again, no one should have to sacrifice their limbs, their lungs, or even their lives when they go to work. And now, employers know if you do not protect your workers, we're coming for you. In President Biden's America, we stand with you, because I know, as President Biden always says, Wall Street didn't build America. The middle class built America. And unions built the middle class. So, my friends, I know that the gains you have made have been hard fought, and that you have even more fight in you. So do we. because together we've made too much progress to turn back now. And together we have more progress to make to help realize the full promise of a good job in this country and the full promise of America. I don't need to tell you that given the chance, there are forces in this country that would gladly turn back the clock. And we aren't about to let that happen. So, keep organizing, keep fighting, keep building your power, and I promise you, we have your back. Thank you so much.